Julie online. Hello, Julie. Hi. Thanks
Hello,
for joining
everyone.
us today. Welcome to the team, SMKT team. Gary, would you like to introduce your guest speaker?
Yeah, you know, to be an athlete, you need a coach. If you want to be a gold medalist, you need a coach. And there's all different kinds of coaches in this world. There's sports coaches, life coaches, business coaches. Now, Julie is my business coach. Bless her. She needs a medal to control me. But she's a renowned author. She is really famous on, she's quite an influencer on her own show that she does on Clubhouse. So I said to her, look, come in and talk to us about writing, but I'd love to hear something about Clubhouse as well. And over to you, Julie.
Okay, I did a little bit of a presentation that if I can, I just want to go through really, really quickly, if that's okay. So if someone can allow me to share my screen.
You should be able to.
Oh, okay, thanks, Carol. It's that one. And I just wanted to take you through just a couple of slides, really. So I'll happily talk about Clubhouse. I'll happily talk about writing. I'm really conscious this is your time for everybody that's in the room to learn, and please pick my brains. And I just want to share something with you very quickly, because I think I know, and I could be wrong, but I think I know that the majority of you are probably at the beginning of your career and you've got your whole life in front of you. And basically I want to make you, being the operative word, truly understand that you can create the life that you want for you, regardless of anything. So I just wanted to start that. And then I'll tell you just a very brief bit about me and where I am, and then happy to answer any questions. Happy to tell you how I wrote the books, happy to tell you how I get on Clubhouse and what that's all about, if you're on it or not on it. But I thought if you wouldn't mind, just very briefly. So one of the things I am really passionate about is conscious leadership. Hang on, let me just put this from slideshow from the beginning. Hang on. From current slide, that's it. So I'm really conscious about conscious leadership, and it's something that I personally have learned about, researched, developed through my career, and you can probably tell by my face I'm pretty old. I've been around a long time. I haven't always been who I am now, which I'll tell you more about, but I haven't always been who I am now, and I have changed so much, and you can too if that's where you want to go. So conscious leadership is around the decisions we make consciously or unconsciously which affect our future. And when you're right at the beginning of your career, you have such opportunity. So conscious leadership is a movement and a community, and it's all around raising standards, raising results for us and others that we love and that we impact on. It's about creating and designing your own life and your business, and it's becoming a life and business for good. So we put good back out into the world. We enable the world rather than disenable. And the more we consciously lead ourselves, the greater impact we have on our families, our businesses, our community, and everybody around us, including us, of course. We're all nice. Well, one of the things when you get into personal development, which I've been in for decades, one of the things that we're quite often compared against or through and about is an iceberg. And basically it's what we are. So one of the facts about behavior, and I'm talking really quick because I really want to get to what you want to ask me, and I do have a tendency to talk quick anyway. We're an iceberg. So what we see on the surface, so what you see of me now, what you hear of me now is my behavior, and your behavior is everything that everybody else sees and hears. Your behavior is your reputation. It's the impression you make out in the world. It's vital to get that bit right, regardless of what's going on underneath, because that is our reputation. But underneath that, and what drives all of that, is the bits nobody sees. They don't know who we are underneath. They don't know what we're thinking. They don't know what we're feeling. So when we can tap into the bit underneath, the unconscious part that drives us, we can do more, be more, bring more to the world, but nobody sees it or hears it. and it's influenced by everything that has gone before. So your education, your parents, your guardians, your siblings, your religion, your environment, the media, social media, media, and then everybody else and anybody else that you are in a network with. The economy, and it's generational. So we inherit stuff from those that have gone before us, our parents, whoever it is that surrounds us. Our parents inherit it from grandparents, grandparents inherit it from great grandparents. It all comes down the line. We're all born perfect. We're all born perfect. And then all that stuff happens and we get influenced by what happens. And what I'm going to say is we can change all of that. We don't have to be the past. I was listening to something the other day and it was said about the past has poisoned me. And I'm like, blimey, the past has poisoned me. It doesn't have to be poison. We can get rid of it and change it into, for want of a better phrase, nectar. So you are your destiny. Without any doubt, you are your destiny. It starts with you. And how you think and feel affects how you behave. And how we think and feel is all our self-talk, our beliefs, our emotions all come out into our behavior. How you behave is a stimulus for and affects how others think and feel, which affects how they behave, which is then the stimulus for you, how you think and feel. And it can go into a degenerative cycle, or we can break the cycle and make it really positive. It's up to us. So it's about personal responsibility. Conscious leadership is all around how we make our decisions. How do you make your decisions? What are you basing your decisions on? What are the emotions linked to it? How do you then analyze it by using the logic, thinking about the generational thinking about who's influencing you, because there will be people, we're all influenced all of the time, and we influence others all of the time. What's society saying? And what's the economic state of the situation? So economies of the world affect the UK. The economies of the UK affect businesses. The economies of the business affect us as employees or business owners, whichever way around you want to look at it. So it all cascades down. And then we have to cascade back up. So we all create our own culture, and we learn when we're very, very young. And what the knowledge says is that by the age of 7, we are formed into the person that we're going to be in later life, unless we do something about it. So we may like what we are, that's absolutely fine. We may have learned how to love ourselves and respect ourselves, and we may not, because of how we've been influenced. But what we've learned creates our habits, and we take those habits with us into when we're an adult, and then we affiliate with like-minded people and we become comfortable. And when we're in that sort of frame, we get influenced by our network. Our behaviors are influenced by who we surround ourselves by. And then what we do contributes to the wider society and the wider network that we're in. And what I'll say, and I've changed my network a number of times over the years, we can choose who we affiliate and associate to. So create the environment that serves you and what you want to do, basically. Change things is the basic message, if you need to. Not if you don't need to, but if you need to. So conscious leadership principles, the principles that drive conscious leadership is a universal guideline. We create them for ourselves. We're not told what they are, we create them. We then discipline ourselves to follow them. And the principles guide every single decision we make. And the principles guide every action we take, so every behavior we take. So the external focusing stuff being a technical word for me, everybody. So when we've designed our own principles, the more we know what they are, consciously know what they are, they become unconscious and then drive our habits. And we design them to serve us and those around us. We can all do this. It's not a hard thing to do. The more difficult thing is if you're designing a principle that is actually changing something within you and changing a habit going forward. That's the tougher bit, but it's all doable. Says I on a health kick at the moment at going to the gym. It's all doable. So conscious leadership is a choice. It raises standards, raises results, creates a life for you like you would never believe if you go with it. And you can become a life and a business for good. You get success, whatever success is for you. And that's something maybe to think about. What is your success? And success changes over time. It's not a static thing. So I want to leave you with just a definition that I work with on motivation. So people think they motivate others, they don't. So for all of you that are going into working with business owners or working for yourself, wherever you end up throughout this whole process, your motivation is an internal thing. You motivate yourself. What others do, they don't motivate you. What they do is create an environment that you want to be in and that you want to do well in. You are there willingly. So motivation definition is a conscious or unconscious driving force that arouses and directs action towards the achievement of a desired goal. It's an internal factor, and your motivation will get you to the goal that you want rather than anybody else's goal for you. So if any of you have ever resisted anything, it's because you don't want it. When you walk towards something and you really want it, you get a far better result. I can send Gary these slides so you can, you can keep them. You can share them with your employers if you would like. And then I thought just a little bit about me, and then I can talk about writing. I can talk about Clubhouse. I can talk about anything you want. So maybe we can have a sort of a free-for-all. So I am not now the person I was. So I left. So I was almost a straight A student. And I left the education system on the first day I could without a single qualification to my name. I went AWOL. So absence without leave, I think, is the phrase. Comes from the Second World War when people used to desert. I deserted the education system. I didn't like it. It didn't suit me. I didn't fit in. I did really well up until I was about 14. And then I just went, I don't like this anymore. So for the last 2 years, and I could leave at 16 at I could leave at 16 back in the day, which I know you can't do now. And I walked out of school on the Tuesday. I walked down the local high street on the Wednesday. I got a job on the Thursday. I started work on the Thursday, and I've worked for myself and for others. So I've been an employee and my own business since then. And my true belief, I'm going from the bottom up, as you can probably tell. My true belief is that everyone can, and everyone can do what they want. Remembering motivation, they want to do. Everyone can, with a little bit of inspiration and a little bit of hand holding and a little bit of challenge, because we have to challenge ourselves. We can all do it. So who am I? I live my life with integrity and transparency. I don't lie at all, ever. It's just something I don't like. And that come from something that happened to me when I was 16, 17, in a pub, drunk, swearing, smoking, drinking alcohol. And I had a bit of an out-of-body experience. And I looked down on myself, thought, I don't like that. So I changed. And one of the things I took immediately out of what I did was swearing. And then I looked at the rest of my life and thought, you're not really leading a particularly great life at the moment. So I changed. So now I live my life with integrity and transparency. You ask me anything, I'll tell you the answer. I will not lie about anything to anybody. I just don't do it. I am an author. I've got 3 books published on Amazon. I run my own podcast. So if anybody's listening to podcasts, it's called Conscious Leadership, as you might have imagined. I'm a crypto miner and investor. Got into that last October, having known about it since 2012. So if any of you are listening about crypto, I missed it when you could have bought Bitcoin at £10. They went up to 60,000. Missed that because I didn't take action. I'm a great friend. I'm loyal, and I am a great friend. I'm a coach, a mentor, and a trainer, and I'm a leadership and management. That's what I do. So, amongst other things as well. So, Gary, I think you said you wanted me to talk about becoming an author
You know, I don't think it's up to me, actually. I think it's up to these young people. Julie, you've over-delivered here. You guys just put up your hands. You know how to do that on the screen and ask Julie questions, because you've got a mind of knowledge there. If you want to hire Julie even for half an hour, it's going to cost you hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of pounds. So
yeah,
how do you guys ask the questions and see what direction it goes in?
Right, I saw Emma's hand go up first. Now I can't see everybody on the screen, so you might have to shout at me through chat or anything.
Can you see me
I
now?
saw Emma's hand go up, and yeah, go on, Emma. What's your question?
No, I was just gonna say, could you like tell us a bit about the books that you've written and
Yes.
like about being an author?
Yeah, okay, I can. Okay, so I've written 2 books. I'm looking at them, they're on the shelf. I've written 2 books on my own, from my own knowledge. One I originally wrote in 2015, and it's called Goal Setting, and it's the practical how-to guide of how to set goals, because I realised that we all think we know how to do it, and I have trained, I mean, literally tens of thousands of business leaders over 3+ decades. And I was still talking to chief execs, boards of trustees about how to set goals. I thought, this is actually a bit ridiculous. So I wrote the book to get it out for everybody to understand. And it's a really practical how-to, written how I talk, basically, around how to set goals. The one thing you'll hear about goal setting is a lot of people use the acronym SMART. Some of you have probably heard about it. Now, that was created in 1954 by a guy called Peter Drucker. Now, it's good. It's very good, but it doesn't really translate into the 21st century and what we want when people are asking us to do something. SMART is a very it's a very directive approach to goal setting. So I created another one called Structure, which involves both parties, because you've got to get agreement on goal setting for yourself and for others. So that was one. And I wrote that. I paid to write that. So I paid a company, I think at the time, I think it was about £3,000, I think, at the time, to teach me how to write the book. And they gave me a process, which was a 10-step process. They sort of nagged me to get it through. And what I did, I took myself out of the world basically for 2 weeks. I sat at my desk. Now, I'm a person who I can't type. I don't know how to type. I'm a 2-finger typer. And I started to type the book, and it was taking me ages, because my brain, your brains work much faster than your fingers, and your brain works much faster than your mouth. But your mouth is, I'm going to say, more connected to how your brain functions than your fingers do. So what I ended up doing with that one, and with the second one, I bought an audio recorder at the time. It was a Zoom something or other. It was a little audio recorder. I recorded my voice, translated it to type. This was back in 2015. It's not as easy. It's easier to do that now than it was then. I recorded it, and then I edited it and got it into chapters. But I basically sat there for 2 weeks, and I wrote the book in 2 weeks. They published it for me. And that book is about 20,000 words, and it's on a subject I know, but I still did research, because we all know what we know, what's up here, but there's so much more out there. So I did research on other links into goal setting. And interestingly, and I'd never heard of it before, I came up with the concept of delayed gratification, which means you put off doing the immediate thing to do the thing that you want that will get you closer to the future goal. So it's like, you don't buy that pair of shoes because you put the money in the bank, you save it, and you're saving towards a deposit of a house type thing, or the deposit to buy a car, or the deposit to buy a new laptop, but you don't buy the shoes. So or the I don't know, what else might you go out and buy? I don't know. You don't buy the pair of jeans, whatever that is. You don't buy the designer stuff. You buy something lesser priced, because it's going towards your future. Now, I'd never heard of that before. Now, instinctively, I knew it, but I didn't know it had a name. So I still did the research to add to my knowledge of goal setting. Then what I did, I paid the same company, I think it was £5,000. Now, I didn't have, did I have the money at that point? I may have put that on my credit card. I'm not sure. I'm not recommending that, by the way, because you still got to pay it off. But I then paid the same company to get me into a book called, which was they titled The Authorities. And that got me into a book. So I wrote a chapter as The Authority, which I wrote on motivation. And then I was in the book with a guy called Raymond Aaron, famous Canadian, a guy called Dr. John Gray, who wrote, some of you may know it, Women Are From Mars, Men Are From Venus. No, or the other way around, Women Are From Venus, Men Are From Mars, that one. And then Marcy Shimoff, who wrote a book on happiness. So they were famous authors. So that sort of positioned me, if you like. And then I launched the first book. I actually travelled to Canada to launch. So I did a book launch in Canada with other authors. So I travelled to Toronto. That's a fabulous place to go if ever you get the opportunity. And to go and see Toronto, Niagara Falls, brought tears to my eyes. But I launched the book on stage with Dr. John DeMartini. Look him up, he's fabulous.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. And Bob Proctor.
Wow.
And they are two like icons in the personal development world. So I travelled specifically to Canada. Oh, hang on, turn that off. I travelled specifically to Canada to do that. And then the third one I wrote was about stress, the reality, because stress is preventable. We do not have to be stressed, and we need to know it in advance. I got into stress management about, I'm going to say 25, 26, 27 years ago. When I looked around me, I used to work in retail, and I looked around me and I could see people dropping like flies because of the pressure that was being applied through work. They were going off sick. So the business suffered, they suffered, their families suffered. I challenged my chief exec at the time. My boss, and this is why I'm so hot on leadership, my boss told me that I couldn't develop a stress management program. I'm sorry about, that's the other phone. I'm sorry about that.
Sorry.
My boss told me that I couldn't develop a stress management program. So I ignored him and I went to the chief exec. This will show you a little bit about how I operate. I told the chief exec what the problems were. I told him what it was costing him. I told him what I could do about it. And he said, do it, develop it, roll it out. I rolled it out across the UK. So at the beginning of last year, when we went into lockdown, I looked at what was happening and just thought to myself, this is going to be potentially a disaster. So I wrote a book. I looked for the book that I bought when I initially started to learn about stress, which was written by at the time, a doctor that was on TV. And it was so simple. It taught me a lot, but it's out of public. It's not published anymore. You can't get hold of it. So I decided to write one along the similar vein. Now, what I did when I was doing that, so I wrote that back in April, again, me being me, I recorded it, voice recorded it, translated it. I use otter.ai. It's really easy to do. I tried to speak as I wanted the book to appear to reduce the editing. I did pretty all right, but the editing takes longer than writing the book. And again, at that point, I got myself, because I give a lot to other people, a woman who was setting up a mastermind and a mentoring program on how to write a book, gave me a free place in her program. All I had to do was say, yes, I'm committed to writing a book. I'll do it. Hand up. Because I wanted to write. I'd already started it. So what she then did, she did part of the editing for me, not all of it, part of it. But she gave me another piece of information that I didn't have. And I added that into the book, which is about two terminologies, eustress and distress. I knew about distress. I didn't know about eustress. because good stress and bad stress, sorry, good things, so things we really look forward to, like going on holiday and anything that's linked to that, as well as changing jobs, you know, somebody being ill in your family, they both pile on to us and our capacity to deal with them. So good stuff and bad stuff affect us the same way, actually, which is bizarre when you think about it. So I wrote that book, which is called Stress the Reality, and I self-published. So I didn't pay anybody. Hang on, I really want to turn that off. I didn't pay anybody to publish it for me. I learned how to publish on Amazon, and it's really easy. It's really easy. I ended up designing my own book covers because I was paying people to do them and I just didn't like them. So I ended up doing them myself, did them really simply. I used to use Canva. I love PowerPoint, so I now use PowerPoint. I personally think it's fabulous. It's free. You don't have to pay anything. There's sites you can go to get free pictures. I'm pretty good at design and layout. So I did it all myself. And because I then did that myself, I went back to my original book and redesigned that, edited it, re-edited it. I took it back off the publishing house that it was with and put it out under my own name. So I now control both of my individually written books. They're in my control. Nobody else has anything to do with them. Now, I am a bit of a control freak, and it gives me freedom to do what I want. I don't have to go to somebody if I want to add something to it. I don't have to go to somebody if I want to change it. I can reschedule, republish. I then got them both, and I did use somebody to do this for me because I didn't know how to do it. I got them both into an ebook, an e-reader, and you have to format them appropriately. And I just don't know how to do that. So I paid somebody. Now, again, you can pay people to edit. If you go to an editor, it will probably cost you about £1,000 to get a book edited. So and it's useful to get somebody else to read it, because when you've written it, you just see the same thing all the time.
You see what you're supposed to, what you've written, or what you think you've written, don't you, Julie?
Yeah, exactly. So I use Grammarly, which is a free grammar checker. There's another one, I don't know whether it's Grammarly or another one, that can proof the syntax, so the way you've written your sentences. They're free.
I think Julie makes a very good point, everybody, of publishing yourself. In the old days, it used to be you had to have a publisher. If you published it yourself, it was called the vanity press, so you paid to publish your own book. But now, unless you're J.K. Rowling, there's absolutely no benefit to getting a publisher to publish, because they do not market your book for you. You might think they do because they charge a lot of money, but they don't. No. So you might as well market it yourself, because you're going to have to do that anyway, and keep all the money as opposed to keeping some of the money, which you do with a publishing house. Like Julie, I'm in two collaboration books and 3 books that I've written myself. So publishing yourself is definitely the way forward, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think the old way is any more important now than...
Unless, like I say, you're J.K. Rowling, your first book takes off and some publisher goes, oh, I'll give you 100,000 to write your next one. In which case, do it. Yeah. But,
Yeah, and just picking up on what you've said, Carol, it's about marketing. So I'm not a great marketer at all. I said to someone the other day, I've said it a few times recently, I'm probably the best kept secret on this planet in some ways. I don't market myself. So I've got 3 books on Amazon. Who knows they're there? So unless you market, and it's that repetitive marketing, to let people know who you are, what you're doing and how you're doing it, you just fall by the wayside. So building a reputation, and I think Gary mentioned it earlier about being an influencer, and you decide what you want to be an influencer about, but that is really important. And to do that, you have to know how to get your message out to the world. You know, what is the brand of you? Who are you? Personal branding is huge. So your personal branding is your reputation. And that's for every single one of us. Doesn't matter how old you are, doesn't matter how young you are, doesn't matter whether you're male or female, living in the UK or, you know, in the wilds of the Maldives somewhere. Who you are and who can see you is your brand and your reputation. And I've had a few thoughts about this very recently. The lockdown, in lockdown, and again, as I mentioned earlier, you sort of affiliate into a group. And I know this, but it's bumped me in the head just recently. You affiliate into a group, and if you're not careful, you can think that that group is all there is on the planet. They're the only people out there. But when you come out of that group and you go into another group, the second group, A, doesn't know who you are, but also don't know who you know. So I was talking to somebody the other day. I mentioned John D. Martini. Now, to me, he's a guru. He's the guy I go to. And I mentioned his name to somebody else. They hadn't even heard of him. Now, when I came out of corporate, and I've been in learning and development for over 3 decades, you know, working with leaders in business for over 3 decades. When you come into the entrepreneurial world, one of the biggest personal development names in the entrepreneurial world is Tony Robbins. I had never heard of him. I came out of corporate in 2000, you know, private public sector in 2011. I had not heard of Tony Robbins. So my world, when I was over in that part of my life, didn't know anything about this part of my life now. So
let me just stop you there, Julie. Who knows who Tony Robbins is? Hands up. Okay. So same. Yeah. Tony Robbins is one of the big names in personal development, guys. Look him up. Loads of YouTube videos. Very good at what he does.
Yeah. So it's really interesting. You get sort of caught in that little bubble that we live in. And I don't know how many people there are on the planet, but there's 67 million in the UK. We're one of 67 million. And, you know, and we surround ourselves by how many people? I don't know, 20, 30, maybe 50, maybe even 100. And we learn from maybe, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You're in a business, you might know the names of 100, 200 people, or, you know, if you're in a big corporate, maybe a 500, 600 people. But that's our little bubble. There's so much more out there. So yeah, I published, I paid to publish, I self-published, I re-edited, or I edited, I took control back of my own books, or the one book that was with the publisher. I actually changed the name of it and all sorts. I'm just about to, well, I'm not just about, I've asked a few questions because I want to get them on Audible. I want to get them on audio. So I'm now looking at a studio where I can record them properly for audio. And when you do that, you have to be really specific about how you do it, because Audible does not accept books that have not got the right sound quality. So you have to be very careful if you want to get it out onto, you know, vocal. What I have done though is I've recorded some of it chapters by chapter onto my podcast. So there's a thing at the moment, I say there's a thing at the moment, if we want to influence, we have to get our message out all over the place. And the more places you are, the higher you go up in Google, so your ranking goes up. So I've got some on YouTube. I've got some on my podcast. I've done Facebook Lives, that sort of thing. What else have I done? I've put it on Instagram, but I'm not a very good marketer for myself.
Can we ask you about Clubhouse, Julie?
Sorry, say that again.
Tell us about your Clubhouse experience.
Yeah, okay. So Clubhouse, I heard about it. Gary, was it you that invited me to join Clubhouse? It was, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. So Gary sent me an invite. I think it was on the 31st of December.
I do love being first. Facebook recognized me as the first optician in the world on Facebook. Whenever there's a new platform, I like to be in there, like the first 10. Yesterday, there was a lady who was one of the first on YouTube, and I was sharing, I was one of the first people in the world who made the YouTube video. So we were just changing banter about how it was in the early days, in the old days.
Yeah. So Gary sent me the invite. I think it was on the 31st of December. I went, oh, what's that then? Got on, logged in, launched myself onto Clubhouse. I have to laugh when I think about it now. And I've been on Clubhouse practically every day since. And Monday to Friday, we used to do it 7 days a week. Monday to Friday, we run an hour room on, it's called We Talk Property. It's all about property. I go in, I have got property, I'm an investor, but I do more of the mindset side of it because that is so important. And share stuff about property. So we've been doing that. So I think we're up to about 220 episodes. So commitment and consistency really pays. Clubhouse works on how many people you get as followers. It's a very interactive group. It's voice activated. And the way it works, who's on Clubhouse? Is anybody on there?
Everybody, the Rock's on there too. By the way, can I just say, Carol was one of the very first people in the world on LinkedIn. Carol, what's the stats on that?
Yeah, I was one of the first 10,000 people on LinkedIn.
In the world?
Wow.
In the world. I didn't know until 10-year anniversary, got an email from the owner at the time saying, thanks, it's our 10-year anniversary. Thanks for being one of the first 10,000 people on LinkedIn. I was like, brilliant. Where's my prize? Nothing, nada.
Carol, just for clarity, because Julie wants to give so much value, but what time is this meeting until? Just so
we need to kind of wrap it up, actually, Julie.
Let's get Julie back.
Can I just say something? The guy that's sitting in front of you, Gary, on your right, I think put his hand up. No, in front.
I did. I had a question. I wanted to ask you about crypto. So basically, my question is, do you know anything about predicting trends?
Oh, I do. It's a big subject. It's basic.
If you sum it up, like kind of trim it down.
Right, predicting trends. Predicting trends. Look at what the coin, look at the project behind the coin. And if it is a project that the world wants and values, there is a predictability that that coin will go, it will fly. So I'm learning about this now, but most coins that launch go up and then crash. So what I'm learning, and I'm learning from a guy who's been doing this for a while and is really studying the markets, what I'm learning is that you do all the background work, and that's why I'm learning from him, because he does all that. I just follow because I haven't got time to do all that. I don't want to do all that. It's not who I am. But what happens is the coin launches. It's a fabulous project. Everybody buys into it. It flies and then drops. So what he's saying is, don't buy at the very beginning. Wait for it to go up. Wait for it to drop. Everyone he's looked at does. But look at the background of the project that the coin is there to resolve, the problem that the coin is there to resolve. And it's that whole thing of the bigger the problem, the more money that comes into that to resolve the problem, which is a phrase you'll hear a lot within personal development industry, people who are in their own business. The bigger the problem, the bigger the pain that you're solving, that you're helping, that you're resolving, the more money comes in. Did that answer your question?
Thanks, Julie.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's brilliant. Right, guys. So thank you very much, Julie. Thanks, Gary, for inviting Julie along.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And have a good week, guys. Remember, Monday, we're going to be launching the new modular training where you're going to go through your belts and get your black belt. So make sure you're on the call on Monday, 11 o'clock. See you then.
Good luck, everybody. I think it's fabulous opportunity you've all got. Just milk it for all you can for your futures.
If you've enjoyed Julie's talk, I'm going to be sending out her link to her Google. She'd really appreciate that. She'd also appreciate a LinkedIn review. This is a way of paying.
Oh, yeah.
It's a way of paying back. So I'll get that link to you all. Thank you, Julie. You're amazing.
You're welcome. Good luck, everyone. Have fun.
Thanks.
See you later. Bye.
Bye all.